You've probably used an AI like ChatGPT, right? And it really does feel like magic. You ask it anything, and boom, this incredibly smart answer just appears. But what's really going on behind the curtain? What's the fuel that makes this magic trick work? Well, that's the big question we're going to tackle today. Because behind those perfect answers, there's a story of massive ambition, a little bit of desperation, and a very, very real human cost. So let's get into it. The story really kicks off with this huge shift in strategy. You see, the early models like GPT-2, they were trained on carefully selected high-quality data. But to make that next big leap forward, the builders decided they didn't just need better data, they just needed more data, an almost unimaginable amount more. And just like that, quantity was about to crush quality. This whole change was driven by this just radical ambition. I mean, before, you train a model on maybe a few dozen computer chips. But for GPT-3, the goal was to use 10,000 of the world's most powerful GPUs all at once. It was a massive gamble, and it created this ravenous hunger for data to feed the new machine. So what happens when you have a machine that's that hungry for information? Well, all that careful curation from the past, it gets thrown right out the window. This insane ambition to scale up led directly to a collapse in the quality of the data being fed into these AIs. The race was on to find anything, and I mean anything, to power the system. And you can really see the desperation growing over time. GPT-2, it used nice, curated articles. For GPT-3, they threw the net way wider, scooping up Reddit links and copyrighted books, which, by the way, kicked off a whole lot of lawsuits. But even that wasn't enough. For the next generation of models, they turned to what some researchers call data swamps, these huge, messy, uncontrolled dumps of text from every corner of the web. And here's the thing, this wasn't some accident. They knew exactly what they were getting into. The team literally turned to a data set that one of their own researchers had, and I'm quoting here, purposely avoided because it was such poor quality. They knew the data was garbage, but the need to get bigger, to scale up, it just overrode every other concern. Okay, so you've got this gigantic, messy pile of low-quality data. How on earth do you teach an AI to ignore all the toxic, violent, and just plain awful parts? You don't use another AI for that. No, you use people, a hidden workforce they call humans in the loop. And this is the real hidden cost. The people who are tasked with cleaning up the internet's digital sewers, they aren't some fancy algorithms, they're human beings. To do this incredibly important and often traumatizing work, big tech companies hired outsourcing firms, and those firms employed thousands of workers in places like Kenya, paying them as little as $2 an hour to filter the absolute darkest corners. The toll this work takes is absolutely devastating, and it's lasting. Workers report having constant flashbacks and severe trauma that leads to PTSD. They talk about feeling isolated from their friends and family, an aversion to intimacy, and other serious long-term psychiatric illnesses. In fact, one evaluation of nearly 200 of these workers concluded that they were, in one person's words, thoroughly sick. You know, Kenyan civil rights activist Narima Wako Ojiba, she doesn't mince words. She calls it modern-day slavery because it's cheap labor. Think about it. These are some of the richest companies in the world, and they're building the future of technology on the backs of an exploited and traumatized workforce. So that brings up another huge question. If the data you're scraping from the internet is biased, and the system you use to clean it is exploitative, what does that do to the AI itself? Well, that old saying from computer science really holds true. Garbage in, garbage out. And the problem isn't just the data, it's also who's building these systems in the first place. Just take a look at the numbers. The world of AI development has a massive diversity problem. About 80% of all AI professors are men. At Facebook, women make up just 15% of the AI research staff, and at Google, it's a shocking 10%. When you have such a narrow set of viewpoints, their biases get baked right into our technology. So what does that actually look like in the real world? Here's a perfect and kind of scary example. Amazon built an AI tool to help with hiring. They trained it on past resumes, which, no surprise, mostly came from men. And what was the result? The AI literally taught itself that male candidates were better and started automatically downgrading any resume that had the word women's in it. It built the company's existing bias right into the code. So you see, this isn't just about a few bad results here and there or one messy data set. The issue is way more fundamental. the problem might actually be the entire premise of how we're building this technology from the ground up. And that brings us right to the heart of it. To fix the problem, we have to return to its root, questioning what is really in the data, questioning the whole premise of its wide-scale, indiscriminate seizure. So as we keep being amazed by what AI can do, maybe the most important question we should be asking is, at what cost?